The lights are on, the curtain's up. This is Steps to the Stage.
Hello and welcome to Steps to the Stage, a 7th Street Community Theater podcast where we go through the ins and outs of theater with the community theater professionals you know and love. I am your host, Colin P, and today we are joined by our friends Liv and Emily all the way from Sydney. Liv and Emily, welcome back.
Hi, thanks so much for
Hi, of course. Now, you guys are all the way in Australia right now. It's really exciting, honestly, to be able to have this connection. So why don't you talk about what it's like to do community theater where you're from?
Yeah, so I grew up in Central West New South Wales, actually, in a little hub of theatre, I was pretty lucky, I think. There was about 4 community theatre companies operating in 2 very small towns out Central West. So I had lots of opportunity to explore theatre and to perform. You know, there was probably 2 to 3 community shows running a year. And, you know, population wise, it was a very small town, whereas here in Sydney, obviously, it's a lot larger population. And so there's sort of less opportunity. We do have community theatre groups, but they're not as readily available as I would like, particularly in Western Sydney, which is where we are. So we have a couple that service a lot of Western Sydney, and that's not really enough. And they're producing maybe 2 to 3 shows a year max. So there's a high demand for it too, I think, particularly among the youth, which I've mainly worked with youth in theatre. And there's some really passionate kids out there that just want to do theatre, and I'm like, we need more.
Yeah.
Is for them. So yeah, but look, community theatre, I'm sure it's the same over there. It's literally in the title. It's all about community, and it's so much fun. And everyone sort of pitches in and helps, and you know, it takes a village to do community theatre.
Absolutely.
You're in all of the pies, you know, like it's pretty awesome, and it's great. I've seen a few community theatre shows in the last 12 months, and the quality is so amazing, which I'm loving.
Oh yeah. I understand you guys are working on a production of Little Women right now.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
Can confirm. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, would you mind talking about sort of how that got started?
Yeah, do you want me to go? So yes, I directed youth productions in the past. This is a show that I really wanted to do, so I did it 10 years ago in a community theatre production back home in Bathurst. I really loved it, and it's a show that's really stayed with me. I think the music's beautiful. I think the story's beautiful, and it also doesn't take a lot to put it on. So in terms of cast, there's 10 cast members. It's obviously a really accessible show in terms of age wise. Like, the characters are meant to be about 14, 15, 16 when the show starts. Obviously they grow up, but they don't get really too old. I think it's about 19 or 20 they are at the end of the show. And so I thought this is a really awesome production to put on. It's also a story that's transcended generations, and it's so accessible to people. You know, everyone has something they can relate to it. So I was really passionate about doing it. I think you knew the show, Em, before we started.
I am one of 4 sisters, like the 4 main girls.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I had read like multiple different versions of the book, and I didn't even know there was a musical version until Liv told me about it, and my mind blew up. Yes.
Yes. So we passionate about the show, and I loved the music, but it's not something I think the rest of the cast really knew. They weren't familiar with the story. A lot of them hadn't even read the book or seen the movie adaptations.
A lot. Our lead, Alana, didn't even know of its existence.
She was like,
wow.
I'll try that.
Audition for this little
Crazy.
What's that? Yeah. Been around since the 1890s. Check there.
It's older than some cities, yeah.
So we've been doing this on this crazy journey for the last 3 months. With I've had a lot of parent help, which has been amazing. A lot of volunteers.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Me calling up people at like 6 p.m. going, "Hey, are you busy?
Mhm.
To wallpaper sets, and I really don't want to do it myself." Feel about that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, it's been a crazy ride, and it's been a lot. And we're heading into production week as of tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
So
That's exciting.
it's exciting.
Yes.
It's absolutely terrifying
Yeah.
how it came around.
Of course, in the
Yeah.
best way, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
we're so excited. We're so ready,
Mhm.
I think, to finally be in
Mhm.
place and have all the production elements. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah. Sounds exciting. So, how did you two start working together?
Couple years
a couple of
ago.
years ago.
Okay.
You can go.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was Emily's teacher, so I was teaching
Okay.
dance and singing at the time.
And I actually
Mhm.
had no clue about anything musical theatre until I met you. I
Mhm.
had a small interest, and then I met you, and it kind of went. Was
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I was teaching and we did. Did you do Aladdin?
I was like,
Yeah, you were in Aladdin. So we did Aladdin Junior together. Em was dancing
Yeah.
Aladdin Junior as part of the ensemble.
Mhm.
I remember you wore the purple
Mhm.
costume. It's all coming back to
yes.
me now.
The sense memory is returning. Yeah.
And then we did Shrek. Em
It was
played
Swan Lake.
Swan Princess. Yeah, Swan Lake. So
Okay.
fairy tale characters. We sort of added a few
Yeah.
extras.
Okay.
And got to wear a pretty tutu. I remember that
Yes.
too. In point shoes. And then but through that you had always expressed an interest in sort of backstage and
Yeah.
and directing and always had questions. So
I
then,
always loved like knowing how things worked, and I always had an interest.
Mhm.
Like, lighting.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
so yeah, when Little
Yeah.
Women sort of cropped up, Em actually auditioned, and I said to her,
Oh.
"I want to do this with me in terms of assistant directing and
I was like,
basically
yes.
being my right hand." Yeah, didn't hesitate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Being able to step into the assistant director role has been really interesting from my end, from my perspective, because it's really helped, especially like with the audition process. It's helped like demystify a lot of sort of what goes on, and just like mentally, it kind of puts me at ease. Like it's not like me. It's like there's a billion other factors that go into it, and it's like there's so many other reasons things can happen.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
I've actually had an assistant director before. I have always
Okay.
just directed.
One woman army.
I've been an army for so long. It's really nice to have help.
Yeah. What's that like to be able to have another person to work with and share that experience with?
Yeah, and also just like being able to basically have a second me. I often feel like in a
Mm-hmm.
room, I need two of me. I'm like, I need to be here, but I
Mm-hmm.
need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Be like,
Mm-hmm.
can you do that and I'll do this? Like, great.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how similar our experiences are in this like community theater sort of industry, despite being miles and miles and miles and miles apart. Because what you've been talking about is absolutely yeah, is absolutely true on our end as well, about how there aren't a whole lot of community theaters around. There's a lot of regional theater because we're about an hour and a half away from Los Angeles, so we're fairly close to that whole deal. But in terms of like for the kids and like for like high school and community, there's not a whole lot. We have our 7th Street Community Theater and there's like some high schools, but other than that, we're kind of alone
Yeah,
here in the Inland Valley.
I feel really lucky that I grew up like in a hub of theatre because I
Mm-hmm.
small town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know what the population of Bathurst is today, but it's not big. Let me tell you,
No.
like it's not a
Mm-hmm.
city. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we had two groups there, and then 45 minutes down the road was another small town that had another sort of two community theatre groups, and they were producing two shows each a year. So there was like 8 community theatre shows going on every single year
Yeah.
within these two
Yeah.
small towns. So there was so much opportunity, and high
Mm-hmm.
schools. I think every high school
Yeah.
in Ruggiero was doing a high school musical, so not actually high school.
That's
musical,
great though. But
theatre.
yeah. Dueling productions.
Yeah, but they were always doing something, so
Something, yeah.
which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the conversation going.
Yeah. I think
Hmm?
Kirk's just sent a message.
Oh,
So we can
oh,
talk about.
oh, yeah, absolutely. If you want to talk about, because you said, Liv, you said that you also do lighting design, yes?
Yes, I've had to learn
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
that
Okay. Okay.
the absolute hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Has been fun. I have no.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, my dog was going crazy. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't mine, to be honest with you. I was like, oh my gosh, what did you do? Did you see me go?
No, that was me. No, sorry.
Yeah, no, I've learned
Please.
lighting design on the fly. I have no technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in
Mm-hmm.
my realm. I
Yeah.
often break my technology, and I live with Jeremy, who's in the production, and he's like a
Okay.
little brother to me. And Jem is my tech guru. So when things go
Mm-hmm.
wrong, I'm like, Jem, come rescue me!
Mm-hmm.
My phone that's like exploding, or my Mac that I can't turn back on. Like, what have I done? Um, and yeah, and so Jem is great for that. But in terms of lighting design, the first show I ever had to lighting design was Into the Woods. I was directing it. And we got to Prod Week and we just hadn't found a lighting designer. And I was like, well, I guess I'm doing this. Let's hope I've learned something through the community theatre productions that I've done. And through, like, well, obviously I have a degree. I have a degree in music theatre. So I did a Bachelor of Music majoring in music theatre. But I didn't learn that there. I didn't learn how to do any production element things. These have just sort of come to me as I've been going and as I've had to adapt through the tiny pandemic that we had, COVID. If you wanted to work in theatre, you had to learn how to be different things and wear many hats because that was the way the industry was going. So I in production week of Into the Woods learned how to lighting design, and it was probably really bad. Like reflecting on it now, uh, watching that video back, the lighting design was not great, but it happened, and I learned a lot through that. Like I had a tech that was with me, and he was opping, and I was basically like, I think I want like a blue vibe. Can you give me blue? And that was my extent of lighting design at that point. It's gotten better to the point where Shrek, which we did last year, had 115 lighting cues. Really outdid myself there. I know. I was impressed with myself. But yeah, and this Little Women only has 76. Really, it's total letdown. There's only 76 lighting cues.
Chump change, really, honestly.
Yeah, nothing compared to my 115. But we were actually talking about lighting just before this.
Yeah.
When we were going through, because M is going to be lighting opping in the box.
Scary.
For the show, and M's never done that before. I was like, here's the deep end, welcome to it, you're on your own. So we were just going through our scripts and marking in all of the LXQs and whatnot. It's been, yeah, but that's been interesting for you because
It's been very interesting learning from Liv because like I've never met anyone who like does what you do, and yeah, I don't know, it's just I'm very grateful for your existence.
Yeah, so and we actually, for this particular production, the venue doesn't have a lighting board that will hold 76 lighting cues. It's a very basic board, so I've had to hire one externally, and I've never used it before. They sent me the name of it, and I don't know what it is. So I'm a bit in the dark. And Em will be very much then in the dark. We do have a venue tech who's like, "Oh yeah, I've used that board before," and I'm like, "Great." That's yeah, in the dark, lighting puns. All of them, all of the time. But yeah, we're going to be a bit sort of lost for a bit, but that's okay. We have
figure it out.
We have about 5 hours to do our lighting plot, which is a luxury, because we often only have 5 hours to do all of the tech.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. And I think Em's excited to sort of be up in the box and get to press the buttons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you mind talking about? Well, yeah. What size theater are you doing this in? Like, what's sort of the seat number and sort of what venue or what venues are you used to doing, honestly?
They varied over time. This one
Is it?
yeah,
It's 79, and
it's like a black. It's a black box theater.
Yeah.
That's the style. So that means for those of you listening at home who are like, "What's a black box theater?" The seating is raked, but the stage is on the floor. It's a very beautiful venue. I don't think you've been in there yet.
I think I've seen a photo.
Yeah, photos.
Yeah.
It's beautiful wooden floorboards, high vaulted church ceilings.
It's got like a million different exits and entrances,
Mm.
so everyone on stage can. It really adds to the story, like, because they have all the opportunities to move around.
Yeah, it's a beautiful venue. It was built in the 1890s, which is roughly sort of Little Women's set in the 1860s, but it's very close, which is why I chose the venue. So I did a bit of venue shopping and decided that was the one I wanted to use because of how authentic it felt to the show. So the stage is 9 meters wide by 3 meters deep, so it's quite a big stage in terms of black box theatre, but a small audience. Yeah, 70, 75 or 79 seats. I think something like that. You'd think we'd know. We sold out our Sunday matinee. I could check. I could actually give you a definitive number, but it's somewhere in 75 to 79 seats. So we've got 5 shows. So yeah, it's very, very exciting. It's all happening. It just feels bizarre that we're doing it this week.
Yeah.
So that it's at Fairfield School of Arts.
Yeah.
Is the venue.
It's like we started and we blinked and we're here.
Literally.
It's like we teleported.
It's what it feels like sometimes, you know?
Yeah, except we have all of the vivid memories of rehearsals.
Yeah. So what type of sound system do you have at a venue like this?
So I've made a choice.
Oh no.
It's a controversial choice. We're not using microphones for this production.
Gotta project,
be a theatre actor.
Yeah.
There's 2 reasons for it. One is we have a live pianist who is playing the whole show. It's just a piano. And the reason is I wanted to strip it, and we talked about this way back when we were like first talking about the show. I wanted to strip it right back to its roots.
Yeah. So
in the show, for those of you that don't know Little Women, Beth actually plays the piano, one of the characters. And I think that a lot of people in that time period like learned to play how to I'll try that again. Learned to play piano, or would go and listen to people who could play piano, and that music was very prevalent. So we wanted to strip it right back and leave that authentic feeling, which went with the venue. Everything is trying to be really authentic in the show. And obviously microphones weren't invented back then. So that was the reason I made that decision. But because it's so acoustic and the venue is so cavernous, I think the cast and you're probably going to get a shock when you walk in, because it is like a church. It's these high vaulted ceilings and everything echoes. And I'm like, you don't need a microphone for that. And I actually think it'd make it worse because, look, we've not had good experience with microphones in the past. We've had some issues.
Some.
Hardcore related.
The stories I could tell.
Oh, please. I reckon we could swap more stories over microphones and
I remember one time I was helping run audio for a show at my high school. And we had the NPR had their own separate sound system. That was not the best. I would usually say, I don't need a mic, let me project anyway, but that's a separate story. But we get there for the show and we find out that it was for a class, that one of the kids in the class, her dad brought his own sound system with his own speaker and his own mic running completely independent of ours. Just a completely separate system and unit that we had absolutely no control over, that the dad could just on and off willy-nilly. It was insane. It was wild.
Oh, that's my worst nightmare. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's yeah, look, I think my worst one was Into the Woods. Again, I'd never done it before. In my defense, I was new at the concept of lighting and sound, and we had backing tracks for Into the Woods, Ruggiero. And everything was going so smoothly. And actually, this particular parent who her two children are in Little Women, Phoebe and Seamus, had actually said to me, "Oh, we never have luck with sound, and it's always our kids. Like their microphones don't work, or like something happens with their sound." And I was like, "Not this time." Well, don't speak too soon, because halfway through on the steps of the palace, which not even halfway through, it was like 10 seconds in, Phoebe was singing on the steps of the palace. She was playing Cinderella, and I don't know what I did. I don't know. I must have like jumped or something, and I pressed the play button again on the sound system. And what that did was it reset the track back to the start. So then I had to make a really quick decision to just cut the backing track, and she had to do the whole thing a cappella. What a legend. Like, she kept going and she managed to stay in tune. To this day, I don't know how she did that. She was like 13 at the time, and to this day, I still apologize. I'm like, remember that time? And I'm so sorry. And it was my fault. And I know it was my fault. But then what made it even worse, obviously, like, that parent had told me that they had sound problems. The year after, Seamus, her brother, was playing the genie, and he opens the show of Aladdin, and his microphone didn't work for the first whole scene. And I was like, what? You people are cursed. Like, this is not a me problem anymore. This is a you problem. I'm not doing it anymore. So yeah, actually, we'll blame the Furies. We'll say that's the reason we're not using microphones, because I'm so worried.
You know how you can't say Macbeth in a theatre?
Yeah, exactly. You can't say Fury in a theatre. You can't have a Fury using any sort of sound device. In this, but we are filming the show, and the guy who is doing our filming, who is an absolute legend, we love Jason, he is going to be bringing his own mic so that the sound picks up. They'll just be those like the drop down sort of like choir mics. That's what we call them. I don't know,
like in TV shows, like the
yeah, to just pick up audio for the recording, just in case, as a bit of a backup. But yeah, in terms of actual projection, condenser mics, that's the word. In terms of projection, yeah, they're just theatre actors. Use your voice. Use that resonance.
Yep. Liv, you mentioned you have a BA in theatre, yes?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Of music.
Yeah.
Music theatre, yes.
Yeah. Would you mind talking about what it was like to get that and go through that experience?
I'm curious about this too.
On the record or off?
We are recording, so be cautious.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting process. I'm not sure what your degrees are like over there in terms of bachelors of theatre and things like that, and what you get to do and what you get to explore. I'm very vocal about this in the industry, actually, so I have no problem in saying it on a recording. I don't think that our institutions over here, our tertiary institutions, teach enough about the business side of show business in terms of these degrees. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm like, same here.
Yeah, you understand my
Like,
and
I
the
do.
advice I was ever given was show is 4 words, business is 8. So most of show business is made up of being a good business person, and we weren't really taught how to produce, how to direct, how to wear all of those hats that I sort of mentioned before. And I've had to learn that in the industry on the fly in a really scary way. And I think that I could have probably been better prepared for it. And I'm really passionate about the fact that I think even if you are studying a performance degree, which is what I did, I'm trained as a singer, an actor, and a dancer, you still need that. You need to understand how things work, and you need to have an appreciation of it, because most of the industry is made up of crew and designers and techs. They are the foundation, and we don't appreciate them enough. They don't get enough of a rap. But we also need to know how to do it ourselves, because a lot of what we do over here, particularly in Sydney, there's a huge independent theatre scene. And that's how I started. That's where I wrote my 2 shows and how they got produced. But it was a lot of hard work because I didn't know how to do those things. And I'm just very, very lucky that I have a great community of people around me who I called and I was like, I need some help. And they networked for me and they helped me meet the right people who have become part of my community now to give me the tools necessary to execute that sort of standard of work. But, not everyone's so lucky that they have that opportunity. And I think that yeah, I feel like there needs to be a module, a unit, a semester worth of how to be a backstage person at a show, how to lighting design, how to lighting op, how to sound op, how to do all of it, you know, how to be a stage manager. Gosh, there is so much work for stage managers, and there's so much demand for them, and there's not enough of them. And we are in Sydney at the moment having a shortage of lighting designers. Like, there are so many roles and opportunities available, and there's not enough people trained to do it. And I'm not trained to do it. Like, there's no way. I didn't go to uni. I don't have a degree. I don't have enough experience. And yeah, I think that we need that. So my experience, look, that's like a whole tangent. My experience was, you know, it's a performance degree. It was hard work, and it was 3 years. Um, and I learned a lot. But one of my big gripes is that I want to learn more. And now that I've branched into writing, and I've seen both sides of it, I've done the, you know, the creative process, and I've been on the panels, and I've been on stage. I feel like I have experienced all of the theatre now. Yeah, and I do love all of it. I don't. Do you have a preference, like what you prefer? Prefer is the one I'm looking for. Yeah, like in terms of
Backstage or
yeah,
on stage?
yeah.
I quite like both quite equally, but because only recently I've like actually been able to experience what it's like learning about all the backstage and directing and things like that. I like being bossy, so it's very interesting to me. But yeah, I guess it just depends. I like them both. I think, yeah, they're pretty equal.
Yeah, I feel like you can do both too.
Oh, stop it.
Liv, you mentioned that you've written 2 shows that have toured places. Would you mind talk? Because I'm actually really interested in that. Would you mind talking about that for a few minutes if you could? Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote my first show is called Puppets. You've seen Puppets?
Yes, it made me cry. It was like a bunch of us went to go watch you. It was one of your last performances, and we were just all in tears. All our parents were in tears. Everyone was just going crazy.
It's actually a comedy. Just to clarify,
it's like one sad part, the just immediate waterworks.
But they lost it at the one sad bit. No, it's a comedy, one woman cabaret. That I wrote in lockdown. I was actually chatting about this morning. I wrote it over a 3-day period. It was originally 32 pages of just monologue, basically ranting. I'd been dumped by a boy, okay? Just for context. I'd been dumped. I was angry. So I wrote a play about it. And then the play turned into a cabaret with puppets. So I turned my ex-boyfriends into puppets, which when you're on a first date is a really awkward thing to have to confess to someone. Oh, you write shows. Oh, you're a performer. What's your show about? Well, if you stuff this up, you might be in the sequel. Super awkward. That show ended up being stupidly successful. I still can't get over it. I met my good friend and director Carly, who operates Theatre Travels here in Australia. She helped me along the journey, and Puppets went to Sydney, Melbourne, toured around Australia, ended up at Edinburgh Fringe. From there, we came back to Sydney, and that's when I won 2 Broadway World Awards. So we won Best New Musical, and I won Best Solo Performer for Puppets. And then Carly was sort of like, oh, do you think that we should write another show? And I was like, we can give it a whack. So that's how Broadway Diva was born, which is my current show that I'm touring. So I closed that last night here in Sydney. Next week I go to Bathurst, my hometown. Haven't been home in like 10 years to perform, so it's a bit exciting. Feeling a bit special about that. Then there's Melbourne, Darwin, and then we're off to Edinburgh. And we're taking both shows to Edinburgh. So Puppets will be on at night. It's at 8:20, and Broadway Diva's on at midday, I think. Midday. So very, very lucky to be doing 2 shows at the Edinburgh Fringe this year, which is awesome. But yeah, I didn't know I was a writer. I didn't know I could write. Turns out all it takes is like a really bad text message breakup, and it's not even a breakup. We went on like 2 dates, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I don't think we should. I think we should just be friends, and I'm not really interested in you. And I was like, why? Oh my god!
Every sane person writes a musical about that.
Yeah, every sane person writes a musical about it. And
What else can you do when faced with that situation?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
I cried. That's also what I did. Then I got angry. To write a show. So yeah, but that was the mortifying experience was when 20 of my students did turn up to that last performance, and I'm like, you should not know this about me and my love life.
It was very interesting.
It was, yeah. I was like, you know way too much about me now. And also that show is not exactly PG. Like I dropped quite a few F-bombs in that show. And I was sitting there going, oh, good. All of my students have now heard me
some
swear.
13-year-olds in the audience.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, their parents are going to kill me. And they'd be like, who has been teaching our child? It's me. So,
Please
yeah.
still pay me.
Yeah, please don't take them out of my class. I promise you. So it's been, yeah, look, but do you know what? It's been a wild ride. And Carly, who I share all of it with, has been a joy. I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else. She's going to be coming to Little Women on Wednesday, the dress rehearsal, to sort of give some inspiration and some feedback to the kids before they go on. She's been doing this for a long time. So I'm really excited to have her in the room and sharing that with us. But yeah, look, Puppets and Broadway Diva, if you told me 3 years ago when I was sort of in the middle of a pandemic that I was going to, write 2 shows, produce them, win awards, and direct community theatre in the meantime, I would have laughed at you and told you that you were absolutely nuts. But alas, alack, here we are.
So how many performances is Little Women going to run for?
Count in my head. 5.
5, okay.
Yes.
So
Thursday's opening. Thursday's preview. And then there's a
Friday opening.
Saturday matinee, then a Saturday evening performance, and then Sunday matinee.
Emily knows when she has to be in theatre. It's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah, we all feel confident with that. So, so 5 performances at Fairfield School of Arts, June 1st to June 4th. Like I said, our Sunday is sold out. We have 5 tickets left for Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're so close. Come on, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Buy 5 tickets, please. But yeah, so we operate through the website Humanitix. Do you guys have that over there? I don't know.
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
They're like
I don't think so.
They're like an independent ticketing organisation, and their booking fee actually goes to charity. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, which I like to use them because I feel like I'm giving back. Okay. Women. If you type in Little Women Fairfield, it is the first thing up. And so we're on Humanitix for those tickets. Like I said, we've only got 5 left for Friday. I think we've got 10 left for the Saturday matinee. Again, so close. And the best availability is on Thursday night. So we're sort of encouraging people to try and book tickets for Thursday, but we'd love to sell out Friday as well for opening, which would be a real treat. I don't think any of the kids have played to an actual fully sold out house yet. So Sunday's going to be
they're shaking in their boots.
That's exciting, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, we're on social media, so we've been doing a lot of social media ing.
Yeah.
We have a vlog, which is on YouTube. So we've been documenting the process.
I'll open Instagram. There's like 20 photos from you just posting about it. I'm like,
in my defense, I only post 3 times a day. Emily doesn't check her Instagram that regularly. That's clearly the problem here. So yeah, it's at Olivia Ruggiero Productions is the one that you can follow. And obviously I have a website as well, oliviaruggiero.org, and so all of the tickets and information about the show and how it was born and the cast are on that website. They have their own little tab, which is so special. They get their own tab. Broadway Diva and Puppets don't get their own tab. But Little Women does. Yeah, no, it's been a passion project. I think we can definitely say that. Everyone has just poured so much into it, which you would know, like community theatre is like that, and people give, and they're so generous.
Like the cast is like the characters are a literal family. The cast has become so much closer, which I've noticed, which is sweet.
Yeah. And the parents are also willing to help. When I put that call out to Wallpaper Sets, I think I had about 7 or 8 parents
Yeah.
turn up to wallpaper, which was amazing. And like Em's parents have donated
Transporting
yeah,
couches.
so yeah,
in the
they
car.
basically donated their trailer and their garage for the next couple of weeks to hold sets and whatnot, which was very generous. So everyone's just been, yeah, so incredible. We're very, very lucky. I feel very privileged. I've Jeremy, who's in the show, his mum Naomi, she has sewn over 40 costumes.
Mhm.
There's,
She's
I think
done
there's about
very well too.
yeah, I think there's about 50 costumes in the show. So each character has about 5 costumes, and she has altered every single one. She has made pieces to fit.
And as soon as she notices there's like an issue, she's like straight on it.
Yeah, she's so on top of it. She's been awesome. And then we've got Steve and Fiona, who actually their children aren't even in the show. They're just family friends.
They're just cool.
Yeah, they're just amazing. Steve built our sets. I called Steve and I was like, "Can you come to Bunnings with me?" And he was like, "I'll build your sets for you. Just tell me what you want." So Bunnings is like our hardware store. I don't know if you guys have that over there. We love a Bunnings. Bunnings is great.
There's a cafe in there too.
It's you can go to the cafe at Bunnings. that's a real highlight. But we went and got all the materials for our sets. Steve built them in his garage. And then we wallpapered them in his garage. And Fiona has steamed all of our costumes. And Zach, who is her son, who is an amazing talent. He's not in this show. He's a dancer.
He's got so much energy.
He's only like, I think Zach's 11 now,
Yeah.
11 or 12. He is ushering for us. So yeah, it's really is a family affair. Like everyone is so involved and passionate. It's been awesome. Loving it.
Well, thank you so much, the both of you, for sharing your story and your experiences with us. I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you guys.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We've had a blast.
Yes. I've never done anything like this. It was very interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah.
Thanks for listening to Steps to the Stage, and now it's time for the curtain call.